Francisco Javier Esprita. A fresh 2015 Ilia Topuria walks in with an 0-0 record. Just for some perspective, he just turned 18 and began his professional MMA career. And to verify it was actually 2015, bro is wearing the old school white Vans, so there you go. Fight is about to begin and it's not just you. Even Topuria said he is a nervous wreck here. This is the pressure finally sinking in when you quit high school at 15 years old to pursue an MMA career.
Hey Dad, we don't want to go to school anymore, but we really want to train, and we're gonna go like all day, every day into gym, and we're gonna train because my dream was to get to fight in the UFC.
The fight begins and they are gauging distance for a long time. It's pretty rare for an amateur fight, not to mention debut. Yeah, not even a leg kick. First exchange and Ilia failed a takedown while dodging some punches. He managed to slip the later weird punches and get him down. I like how if he got knocked out by this in the first minute of his debut fight, the whole MMA scene would have been so different. Ilia does well, gets the side control, and the crowd cheers as he gets the full mount. It was hard to see, but Ilia submitted him with a triangle choke. One thing to mention is that Topuria's base is somewhat MMA, but he learned Greco-Roman wrestling. So far in my videos, all the athletes want to stand up in their amateur days, and they build their ground game as their MMA career progresses. This is somewhat reversed for Ilia. Khalil Martin Al-Chalibi. Second featherweight fight, and Topuria is looking a lot more confident in himself now. Fight begins and the opponent has the itch to throw a leg kick. There we go, we found the true amateur right here. Ilia fakes a jab and does a strong, successful takedown. He takes the back easily and submits him with a rear naked choke. I feel like his base is perfect for the amateur scene. His strong wrestling basically nullifies the striking, and his better grappling makes them a walking round one finish. Well, not even walking, he's just a round one finish. A bit sad, but this is his record. But I'm not one to judge, it's better than an 0-0. Daniel Vaquez. Ilia comes in with a catchweight bout with 2-0 in his professional record. I think so. From the tail of the tape, it shows 6-0, but I think it's including his amateur bouts. Please check the comments if someone updated this confusing information. He also debuted his braided man bun style. Another visual form of proof this was recorded many years ago. Ilia comes in with an oblique shot and then blocks the enemy's lead body kick. He then did a dodge counter, knowing that most of the time, if you lead kick, it will most likely be a combination. That sounds a lot cooler when I explain it, but it's literally just two young adults swinging at each other. All of Ilia's wins are submission finishes, so it's a good idea to fake a takedown. Ilia had something going, but they grappled their way out of the cage. I mean ring. Fence. What the is that? They get up and it's another takedown. Ilia finishes it again with a submission. Even though it's being shown, I find it so jarring that he has the strength and technique to back mount someone and choke them so easily. 3-0. John Guarin. Now it gets more confusing with the tape. He's 4-0 now. This event is for the MFE, meaning Mixed Fight Events bout. Ilia is fighting for the vacant featherweight championship, so this should be somewhat competitive. Fight begins, and the most noticeable thing you will notice is that Ilia got rid of the braids. It's very subtle, and it could be my imagination, but Ilia likes to do moves that looks like a level change. It's giving me very subtle Bo Nickel vibes. He gets the takedown and is back literally in seconds. I'm having doubts if any of his opponents actually practice any grappling. Oh wait, I lied. This guy is actually pretty good. The opponent is playing with his switch kicks until he gets clipped by Topuria. He gets rocked and it is the first showcase of Ilia's boxing power. He gets into full guard and survives the first round. Very lucky. He's the first person to do that. Second round starts and the opponent jumps in and gets clipped by a hook. I would say he's faking a flying knee, but it really just looks like he wanted to jump. I mean, it's bad fight IQ, but I respect the jump. That was a very good jump. They go to the ground, fresh into the round, and that's when it was over. John is doing well, but he's not as good as Ilia. The ground game is just too mentally and physically taxing where he gets too tired. From that, he got sloppy and got choked out by a guillotine submission. One thing you notice by now is that Ilia is destroying the competition with finishes. It really feels like a speedrun to become world champion. He's like a real-life Smurf account. There is only 2 fights in his whole career that actually ended in decision. And I promise it is something insane. More respect to the other opponent though, but you just have to find out real soon. Don't worry. Mika Hämäläinen. This is Ilia's bantamweight debut just after winning the featherweight bout. So that's already confusing. He actually didn't have a professional MMA fight in 2017 and it's a different organization now. He's broadening his horizons and is even more fully committed to his MMA career. Fight begins and they are being quite normal. I can definitely tell Topuria has worked on his striking techniques. Ilia is extending his arm out and using strong jabs and straights. The back tattoos aren't helping as well, where it gives the biggest Conor McGregor feeling. I guess you don't need to fake a takedown anymore. The record of 4-0 with submission finishes is enough to intimidate opponents now.
Iskuissa on potku.
Joo, ja mahdollistaa sen tavallaan sen hyvän asennon pitämisen. Siitä tuli niskan puolelle. Oho.
Nyt on sähäkkää
siinä tuli jotenkin näytti, että olisi tullut vähän tuo Topuria oikea käsi, minkä veti niin tonne Mikan niskan puolelle. Oi.
Ei ole mikään heittopussi tää Topuria.
Ei todellakaan. Kyllä vahvan näköistä asennosta tulee kyllä iskut. Että se täytyy sanoa, että hänellä pysyy tuo paketti koko ajan tosi hyvässä. Niin kuin.
Oh, and here is the first showing of his signature right hand. It was powerful from the start. If you're a Volk fan, I'm sorry. I should have put a warning sign before the clip. The opponent is still taking his time to recover from the rock and he goes for the takedown. That is probably the worst thing you could have done. Topuria ground and pounds and actually lets him up after a bit. He could have easily kept it on the ground. But my theory is that this is easy work for Topuria. And he just wants a record where he has a TKO or KO finish.
Vahvan näköistä kyllä ottelemista Topurialta, että nyt alkaa enemmän paljastua, miksi hänellä on tappioton rekordi, että kyllä hän on niinku hyvää tekemistä kyllä Topurilla.
And it happens literally again. The opponent is running out of options and he isn't winning this trading war of jabs. He gets really hurt again and shoots. This time Ilia is sick of it and goes for the mounted guillotine.
Meneekö läpi? Onko hyvä?
Tätä on paljon puhuttu, että kuinka helppo sitä Mika on kuristaa, kun on niin sen verran rakenteeltaan sellainen kaveri, että mutta sieltä se vaan
Easy money, but you know deep down he wanted that KO. Don't worry, it will come in the future. Brian Bolin. I'm not gonna risk it and use screenshots for this fight. It is under the UFC Fight Pass and it is a Cage Warriors fight. It's the only Cage Warriors fight Ilia fought in for some reason, so I guess that's good for me. Fight begins and Ilia just went for the takedown. He doesn't care about the KO record anymore. And before I forget, Ilia lost weight in this fight. It was for the bantamweight vacant bout and he was 139.4 pounds. So just to be clear, he never fought in bantamweight again after this. Back to the fight, Ilia scrambles a lot and gets the back. Very easily. Topuria transitions into a Das choke, but the opponent tries to scramble too. I lied. It was an anaconda choke and he got choked out fast. Brian didn't even have time to tap. He was out cold already. Another submission win by Ilia.
He's out.
It's over!
Wow!
Ilia Topuria chokes out Brian Boulon in the first round.
What an,
Unbelievable!
what an anaconda choke that was.
Luis Gomez. Ilia moves back to featherweight and fights under the organization Brave CF. During his fight intro, you can see his ugly as banner. I'm sorry to butt in with my opinion, but that is a pretty bad graphic design there. Okay, yeah, I'm joking of course, but yeah, hopefully that doesn't actually become a tattoo or something. That'll be weird. Topuria is back doing his Conor McGregor thing. He got caught early and Topuria goes for the takedown. It looks like another submission win again. He gets the top mount like it was nothing and starts to rain strikes. I'm feeling a little bit sorry for the winner now. Just give him the TKO win record already. That's all he wants. But it didn't happen and Topuria just settled with a mounted triangle armbar.
That's the mounted triangle. Mounted triangle armbar combination. And it's over!
Fun fact, people have been hyping up the fight between Max and Topuria. Max's only submission loss is by a triangle armbar as well, by Dustin Poirier. Exactly what Topuria just did now. It's pretty rare, considering there only have been about 10-ish triangle armbars in UFC history, and compare that to the 500 plus rear naked chokes. Steven Gonçalves. Topuria comes back to Brave CF and they really messed up the stats here. The tail of the tape is nearly correct. The only thing wrong is the height. He is not 180 centimeters tall. That is 5'11 for our American viewers. I actually don't know how you messed this up. I kinda like this guy. He's representing guts. He was Sigma before it was even a thing. Fight begins and they test out the distance with jabs as usual. I'm actually wrong and I just researched this just now. Steven is actually 187 centimeters tall. A 6'1" featherweight is just a walking TKO at this point. But 1 minute into the fight, Steven goes into southpaw and decides to become Leon Edwards. From open stance, he did a high kick and with that leg reach, it definitely connected. Topuria prepares for a body kick and he just puts his hand up in case. The head kick was still too strong and he gets dropped. I swear this is basically motion captured from the Islam versus Volk fight. Topuria goes for the takedown, fearing for his life that he might not be undefeated. He goes for his forte, a submission quickly, but it doesn't work. The opponent gets up and tries to head kick again, but Topuria goes for a takedown again. This is like halfway into the video, and it's actually finally getting competitive. Topuria gets cut real bad, and he might lose this. They get up for the third time, and Topuria is leaking really bad. But here comes the biggest moment for him.
He needs to get his back off that cage. Oh, he gets caught!
The right hand again, but a flash KO this time. It doesn't help that it's a 6'1" featherweight as well. Tall guys just shouldn't go to featherweight. It doesn't have a good track record. But anyway, this is what Ilia has been working so hard for this whole time. A beautiful KO finish in his record and he is happy. So happy, he leaves the local scene and jumps straight into the UFC. Youssef Zalal. Coming out as an underdog, Ilia fights his opponent with a 10-2 record. But it makes sense though. Youssef has gotten himself 3 wins already in the UFC and fights a guy on his debut. So it makes sense for the slight underdog for Topuria. Fight begins with a switch high kick and it gets blocked. Very good, he learned. They come in testing out different weapons and Ilia nearly got him with his right hand. Oh there. Youssef is doing a good job keeping distance regardless of pressure. He times things well and always just tries to kickbox and leave. Basically make Topuria resort to grappling. And that he does. Jesus. Topuria does his usual full mount, then a back mount to a rear naked choke. But Youssef has good wrist control and managed to deny most of it and get up. But gets back down and does a flurry of submission attempts. Round 2 and it's a true MMA fight now. And however, they grapple for half the round against the fence and get away. Topuria looks like he got the best out of that exchange, being less tired. I don't know how he survived that. It sounded like freaking gunshots. But what I've said so far basically sums up the rest of the fight. Topuria dominates with striking, in which Youssef has god genetics to withstand any punch. Topuria dominates in grappling, in which Youssef has god genetics to breathe without using his neck. Time ran out and of course Topuria won. But I have to respect Youssef as well. He is up there as one of the best chins in the featherweight division despite not being ranked. And looking at his current record, which isn't really too good, his only losses are by decision, meaning he's the second coming of Chito Vera. Damon Jackson. Ilia's second fight in the UFC, and he comes in as a favorite now. There is a tweet there, just ignore that. People are still skeptical on Topuria and his quote-unquote flimsy perfect record beating up local cans. Even though Jackson is a lot taller and has a lot more reach, Ilia is good at reaching in and doing more boxing combinations. So
Stop!
that was brutal. Right hand, of course. That is some good accuracy in such an awkward position. I mean, I think he's dead. Ryan Hall. Ilia fights another opponent with a bigger reach and his taller face right off the bat. Yeah, Ryan Hall probably did one of the best first exchanges in a fight between unranked fighters. Ryan then does a roll but fails. He's like the unranked Tony Ferguson. So unfortunately, he's like Tony Ferguson. Okay, he's tried this at least 5 times and it's not working. It's going to be so satisfying when Topuria knocks him. And Topuria does God's work here. I like how it was the same wheel kick that hurt Topuria at the start. And it was a KO, not a TKO. Jai Herbert. Ilia has beef with Paddy for a bit and then fights Jai Herbert. Jai is a 6'1" featherweight. In saying that, you already know the result of the fight. Well, I kinda lied. It was a lightweight fight. Topuria debuts as a lightweight in hoping to knock out Paddy the Baddy, but fights Jai first. Fight starts and Jai does the same plan as Yusuf where he really wants to kickbox with Topuria instead. And it actually becomes successful.
And he has the speed advantage.
No, that was the hardest punch I ever took in my experience inside the cage. Yeah, without any, I didn't see that kick coming. You know, I didn't see that. I have to give the Jai his credit.
Thank God Topuria grew out that majestic nest of a beard because that would have been a flash KO there. I have no idea how Ilia survived that round. He recovered a bit on the ground where he had the chance to grapple, but his mouth guard fell off twice. He got hurt a bit more and his punches weren't doing too much. It's like he really does have a game plan and is actually making a comeback, but he also can't ignore the blood on his face and the sudden surge of adrenaline as well. So yeah, that was a nice way of me saying that Ilia was being a dumbass with low IQ for a bit. I mean, as you should when you get head kicked in the face. Round 2 begins and they do the usual. In just 1 minute into the round, Ilia unleashes this crazy 4-punch combination that lands flush on Jai. Yep, now that is what a flash KO looks like. He set an example real quick. Bryce Mitchell. Before this fight was confirmed, Ilia was supposed to fight Edson Barboza. During that time, Edson was going through a loss streak and will most likely get killed by Ilia, but it could have been a banger regardless.
Ilia Topuria. How do you say it? Topuria?
I don't know how to say his last name.
That's the dude that had beef with Paddy and knocked that one guy out last fight,
Yeah.
right? That was sick.
Feel bad for Barbosa. They just keep, not bad for him, but they keep giving him some
I mean, yeah, that's
upcoming talents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a segue and a half, but now to another segue. Most of the hype was about the Paddy and Topuria beef.
Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
No, I really don't, brother. I don't really care about his record or him that much, and I don't consider myself undefeated. You know, I've had my ass beat quite a bit in the gym, and you know, my neighbors kicked my ass when I was little. I don't see myself as undefeated, so you know, I see myself as a dude who can take an ass whooping and who ain't afraid of nobody.
So the battle starts and Bryce does a lot of teeps, but it's looking more like just a body kick to poor Bryce already, and then hurts Bryce real bad with a leg kick.
Goes to the outer division.
And each and every exchange, Ilia just does better. He's just more efficient with his movements. Nothing looks sloppy or slow. He has a lower stance because of these situations. He can easily block a high kick and straight after prepare to stuff a takedown. The only problem with this style is that you probably spring too much now.
So he's getting more.
To be fair, Bryce has some good head movement. It just doesn't matter too much because he already took a beating. And in the last minute of the round, Bryce gets a good takedown and controls Ilia for the whole time. This is Ilia's first ever takedown absorbed in the UFC. I think that's how you say it. Nothing crazy happened, but it's enough to scare him because Bryce has really good top control. Round 2 and it goes a bit better for Bryce so far. Bryce is spamming takedowns to scare Topuria. Topuria is now more cautious on his striking, thinking about timing more and doing less shots so he can prepare to sprawl or deny a takedown. The only problem for Bryce is that he is tired now. The moment the commentators talked about Bryce's cardio, Ilia goes in for the nation and it works. After that, Topuria just ragdolls Bryce and ends it with an arm triangle. Good night. Josh Emmett. This fight was a one-sided beatdown. This fight was probably great live, but it was a fight that had 5 5-minute rounds. So not many people really wants to see the replay, unless it was a war. But it's not a war, it's a one-sided beatdown.
Step right hard, don't stand in front of him. Step right, hit him with your fucking right hand, bring your feet, and give me this shitter. Put it downstairs first, okay? Or I don't give a fuck where you put it, but step right, right hand over his lazy jab, and fucking hook his ass, all right? And keep...
Pretty much the game plan, but can't be mad at it too. Round 2 begins and nothing too interesting happens as well. This is the biggest highlight of the fight in general that many of you seen on social media. And yeah, 3 more rounds of Josh Emmett having the best chin in the featherweight division. Can't really say much except respect. And yes, there's Max Holloway, but we will just need to see that in the future. Alexander Volkanovski.
Volkanovski too old. Don't make a headline out of anything these days, huh? Huh?
Said you're too old.
That prick. I'm gonna reply. Dear Scallywag, just wait until I get my hands on you.
Alex, just going off that, why exactly weren't you impressed with video? What did you see that we perhaps didn't see in that fight?
Oh, mate, can't give too much away, right? I think, you know, I think a lot of people could probably touch on some of the things, but yeah, put it this way, people don't look like that when I'm in front of them.
I just like your thoughts on Ilia Topuria, him as a fighter, and just his fight with Josh Emmett. Do you feel like he's next?
Yeah, I think that let's make it from me.
This will sound cheap as shit, but I already made a couple of videos surrounding the topic of the Volk and Ilia fight. So I'll do a quick rundown of the fight on what happened in chronological order, and I'll splice in some parts of my previous videos that matter. Alex comes in confident using his lead leg a lot. They play around still a bit and Ilia is slowly but surely getting more confident. Ilia hits a strong leg kick that Volk respects and he plays it a bit more conservatively now. The power has synced in and he's imagining how hard the punches will be then. Round 2 starts and Volk has a bit of false hope. He still taps and plays around. In his head, he is calculating the math. Round 1 was a win for me, and I feel like I can survive the next 4 rounds. Maybe wrestle with him for a bit around round 3 and 4 possibly, and I'll get the unanimous decision win. Ilia waited until it was the perfect time when Alex is most confident and relaxed, and throws his signature pressure combination. And our new champion of the world, Ilia Topuria. And what a jump of status too. Not to downplay Josh or Bryce because they did better than Volk, but this is just making Ilia a bigger, badder fighter now. Now finally, people are comparing the likes of him to Conor McGregor. In a good way. Here are some clips that explains the fight even more. Now it's solidified into our brains that Ilia is the #1 featherweight in the world.
Volk starting with a couple, a body kick, inside leg kick, seems to be more so on the back foot. Had Alexander spinning around. I don't know why he's using a body kick as a counter shot. It's dangerous if somebody's coming in.
But I feel like after the first round concluded, I felt like he got just enough data to go out there and just kind of implement his game plan. I feel like he wasn't too threatened by the power, and he had done enough to get his timing where Ilia would start to open up, and he was trying to cut him off and get Volkanovski's back against the cage where he can unload a 3-4 punch combination, and he just did exactly that, you know. and if the right hook didn't land, that left hook was going to land.
Spams a lot of left kicks. My opinion about why that was probably going on, I didn't get to ask him, is when you're fighting someone that's grounded, wants to wait and then counter you, if you throw a ton of body kicks, it ties up their arms, okay? It makes it so that they don't get to just punch whenever they want. They have to connect to the floor, block this, and then try to counter me afterwards. And typically, if I'm like good enough, I can like really connect them to the floor and get myself out of the way quick enough. I kind of knew, not knew, but I started to have like a little bit of like not a great feeling in the second round when Ilia started to pick it up. Because in round one, it seemed like, oh, okay, like I can't really tell if Ilia is holding back because he knows it's a 5-round fight, or if Ilia just can't find Volk with any of the attacks that he's trying to get. Turns out he was holding back, okay? So in the second round, he opens up a lot more, okay? So Ilia's being this guy, Volk's kicking him a bunch, boom. Ilia's cool, he's fine with everything. He starts to kind of find things a little bit, gets Volk against the cage, and then it was just a matter of Volk being the mover guy, needs to set first. Ilia's already set, throws the right hand, knocks Volk out. We all hate to see it.
Alexander Volkanovski did not look the same at all. Just looked a little hesitant. Maybe that was just Ilia's aura, Ilia's fucking stance, Ilia's confidence, or it was because Islam fucking head kicked him a couple months ago and knocked him out. And now that's in the back of his head, like, okay, I can get knocked out. I don't know. It's hard to say. Fucking sucks to see Volk go down like that.
But if you were to look back, and boxing is more guilty than MMA, if you were to look back at a guy who's knocked out in his previous contest, a stand-up battle does not favor him right away. He's going to be a little bit slower. He's not going to be as comfortable. He's not going to have the same volume and the same output. The reason for that is every time you move a hand away to touch your opponent, that's what exposes your own face, right? It's these hands coming back. This is what protects you. So if a guy gets knocked out, he gets hesitant to let those hands go. I think Volkanovski got comfortable. I think Volkanovski liked it. I think Volkanovski said, look, I've already done this for one frame. I just got 4 more to go. And of those 4, I only need to win 2 of them, right? Like, I think he was doing the math when all of a sudden Topuria stepped in and shut his lights off.
It is a bit ambiguous because there isn't that much information to concretely gather and use. So at this point, it's actually more interesting seeing people's takes rather than the truth now. Is that my excuse to give my own take? Yes. If the opponent is scared of the takedown, a lot of his KO power is gone. For reference, Ilia is strong as fuck, no doubt about it. He's so strong, he doesn't even realize, and he rocks with it. He swings and doesn't even realize the damage on one of his punches. He flash KO'd Volk and keeps swinging because he didn't know yet that was the perfect shot. With that being said, Bryce Mitchell, out of all people, had the smartest game plan against Ilia's style. Ilia is hungry, short-ranged, strong, and low kicks a lot. He also has strong boxing combinations and amazing pressure management. Knows how to pressure with jabs and then suddenly go to a 5-punch combination that kills you, or stops mid-combination to pull back and counter you or look for reads. With someone like this, body kicks isn't gonna do shit. It's okay because it's a lead body kick from Orthodox, so he's getting the best value of range finding and damage kicking Ilia's open side, but still.
That was the hardest punch I ever took in my experience inside the cage. Yeah, without any, I didn't see that kick coming, you know.
Bryce, on the other hand, during his fight against Topuria, had better head movement than Volk and scared Topuria of his takedowns. Although looking back, yes, Topuria probably has better ground game and striking, but he definitely wanted to do the striking against Bryce Mitchell ideally, so he adjusted his style slightly. He submitted him, but he didn't really knock him out cold. Rewatching the fight, Ilia made a super low stance, preparing to swing, but also prepared to defend a takedown. When watching Volk do that, I thought it was bait, just like the Yair fight, where he baited a combination out of him with the lead low kick to hook him in the middle of it. But someone as flawless as Topuria, you can't just bet on a striking game plan. You need to use all of your weapons to really get something going. Takedowns, wrestling him for just control time, front push kicking him a lot. These are good ways to piss off a pressure fighter. These are just ways to piss off Topuria. And he isn't perfect. When he was scared of Bryce's takedowns, he just blanked out with this 1-2 head kick combination. Sadly, it was Bryce Mitchell striking, but if any other fighter had that window of opportunity, it would have been lights out. So in conclusion, I am overdosing on copium, and this is how I make myself feel better. And no, this isn't some concrete evidence on what really, truly happened. At the end of the day, it's some talking to the microphone. Here are Ilia's MMA accomplishments compared to upper tier fighters. Don't think this is a comparison in terms of their skills currently. This is just their achievements in their career so far. I think Max Holloway is a great matchup for Topuria, and it should be a great fight. So this is Ilia's accomplishments, and this is Max. Yeah, that is big. The thing you should take away from this is that Ilia is here to stay. Reigning champion or top contender, he will be at the top for a long time. And he deserved it. He gave up his life at the age of 15 to pursue this one specific moment. Maybe it's too risky to say it now because of the stigma, but by the time his career is nearly ending, he will definitely be a GOAT by then.